Alright, and welcome back to another Magic Arena reward video, and today, since we have access to Historic Brawl semi-permanently, but probably permanently, we're going to be playing that today. We're actually going to be playing around with the Xanathar list that we hopefully played on the channel already, depending on if I manage to get the video out in time. It's been a busy couple of weeks, so it might not be the case. This might be a first viewing, who knows? So I'll give a general look-see at the list and tell you all about it. So if you checked out the standard version of the Xanathar deck that I brewed in the not-too-distant past, then you will have a rough idea of how this works. Xanathar is a 6-mana Dimir 5/6 that says at the beginning of your upkeep, choose target opponent, and until the end of the turn, that player cannot cast spells, and I may look at the top of their library at any time. I can play the top card of their library, and I can spend mana as though it were mana of any colour to cast spells this way. So this is Lantern Control in Brawl. I get to play all the cards until I reveal a land and let my opponent draw that land, and they do that for the rest of the game. So all they do is make land drops and watch me have fun. It's it's a very one-sided kind of deck. And, you know, that's usually the case with control matchups, and that's what we're going to be playing as well today. So this is all about ramping to Xanathar as early as we can, keeping him alive or stopping us from losing with counter magic like Counterspell. We can also ramp with Dark Ritual as well. This is a cool one. Not banned in Historic Brawl. Allows you to get down your commander a little bit early if you're in black, which is super useful in a lot of cases. It's definitely an auto-include in a black Brawl deck that has a slightly expensive commander. To be honest, even if you had a 3-drop commander like Davriel, I guess you'd probably want a Ritual into Davriel to get it down on turn 1, for example. But yeah, that's super useful. And then we also have, what else was I going to say? Lots of removal. Hagra Maulings, Price of Fames, Extinction Events, Heat to Extinctions, Baleful Masteries, Crux of Fates, all of that nonsense to sweep the board so we don't have to 1-for-1. The idea is we're going to run our opponent's current resources out and then prevent them from gaining any in the future by playing the top of their library until it reveals something we don't care about. And then all they do is play things we don't care about, which means we win. And yeah, it's very tilt-inducing for the opponent, but it's a hell of a lot of fun being the person who's causing the tilt. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video, and thank you again for supporting the channel. Let's get to it. Alrighty then, we're in, and we're up against the Torbrand list. We've got early game counters and early game removal, a little bit of ramp to finish out the game as well. So yeah, totally okay with this hand. We're up against Torbrand, Thane of Redfell. So this is the typical go-to for people when they want to play around with aggro decks in Historic Brawl, or just Brawl in general. They're not too competitive, but they certainly win games from time to time. So Watery Grave go. So Torbrand's a 4-mana 2/4 that says if a red source you would control would deal damage to an opponent or a permanent opponent controls, it deals that much damage +2 instead. So this champion will start dealing 3 damage just as soon as Torbrand comes out. So we wanna basically murder everything as best we can. I'm actually going to play the island here because then I can play Heartless Act on the Fervent Champion, which is something I think I want to do. But I also can counterspell if their 3-drop is much worse. I'm going to take the 1 to find out if their 3-drop is worse. They might even just go 2-drop and scry with Treasure Map. But I'm perfectly happy here to test the waters. It's only 1 point of damage after all. And we can hold open the counter magic for Torbrand instead. So, going to go for the Treasure Map to the bottom. Now that they've got more information, that makes that scry a little bit better, I guess. Murderous Rider isn't bad, actually. A 2/3 lifelinker is pretty sweet. We don't have to concern ourselves with that, though, because we have some hard counters here. We'll probably go with the mana-efficient ones of Supreme Will here, though. Count unless they pay 3. They're doing well to pressure me while also working on the treasure map. That's certainly going to benefit them in the long term. Something that's going to benefit us is making this land drop, playing Cold Steel Heart, and having the ability to counterspell or drown in the lock, though. That's certainly going to be to our benefit, so let's do that. I think I'm gonna put it on black, because we have this double black here. But I don't think it particularly matters with a swamp already in hand. So treasure map to 3. I believe it has to go to 4, right? No, it only has to go to 3. So they've got 7 mana to play with here, so they can do a 2-spell turn. They're going to start with Torbran. I'm going to start with Counterspell. And then they can either use this, which is card advantage for them in the long run, or they could use it to put something that pressures me instead. Right, so 2 cards in the yard. This Drowning Lock isn't killing Torbran. Murderous Rider is. Xanathar could come down, and he's probably unlikely to die. At 22, I think we're in a really good spot here. Our opponent just hasn't managed to deal enough damage to us for us to really be concerned, so Xanathar's either going to do 2-for-1 them, or it's going to untap and win us the game. Because there's a couple of cards in red right now. I think like Burning Hands deals like 6, but I'm pretty sure it only deals 6 to green creatures. So typically you could have 4 damage and 5 damage, like Lava Coils and Soul something. It's the one that deals 5 damage, and if it dies, it exiles. I think it's from Theros. I can't remember its name, actually. It'll definitely be in their deck, I can tell you that. That is a Lathless. That's spooky. Use their treasures to get it out as well, and they've got a 1-drop probably in hand. So they're drawing a mountain. I'm okay with them drawing a mountain. I'm not okay with Lathless being on the board, so let's Murderous Ride right there. We're going to play Guardian Idol and hold up and drown in the lock. We can counter the Torbran now with drown, which is nice. We could defend against haste creatures, but I don't think at 20 we really need to concern ourselves with a single haste attack, especially when we untap with a 5/6, we've got a Murderous Rider. That is a 7/5. Okay. Each creature in your party, that seems extremely budget to me. To be honest, so does the Lathless. And a Bomat Courier. That can manipulate the top of their library, so yeah, I think I'm okay with it. I've got Guardian Idol I can use to block it. So they get like 1 card here, they can trade a card for a card, in a nutshell. Right, Lava Runner. That will block Bomat Courier and also stop Seagate Colossus. We've drawn Essence Scatter as well, which is really nice. To be honest, I think I could probably play whatever's on top, and if it's another land, then that's pretty good as well. And yep, let's just play Murderous Rider. And pass the turn, I think. We're 2 cards away from Drown killing Seagate Colossus. Blocking with Lava Runner gets us there, and killing Bomat Courier also gets us there. They're going to really regret using their treasures here, though. Guarantee it. Because those treasures could have been used to draw with Treasure Cove and unmanipulate the top of their library. So, they draw some cards. They're going to have to be good. They've got 7 cards in the yard now, so I can kill this Seagate Colossus. But they're not even attacking with it, so you know, I'm in no particular rush to kill my opponent. Part of the fun of this deck is forcing your opponent to play simply just lands every turn until they give up. And easy Torbran counter. They should scoop pretty soon. Normal people would normally scoop. There is certainly not a good reason to keep playing this out. Alright, let's see what we draw, what our opponent draws. So we got a Baleful Mastery, they got a land. I'm going to play that, I'm going to play their Torch Courier. Well, Lightning Axe. You know what? I'll discard Baleful Mastery to get rid of Seagate Colossus here. Seems worth it. I can play more off the top of their library. Mind Stone, I'll play their Fanatical Firebrand off the Mind Stone, and now they're drawing a land. So 3 cards they can play. Drowning the Lock should kill absolutely every single one of them. They're drawing a land. There's Torbran. Here's my counterspell. And lethal on board. Well, if you like making land drops, playing against Xanathar is certainly an enjoyable experience. Other than that, though, I would probably scoop it pretty quick as soon as Xanathar untaps. Doesn't seem too worth it. So what's our max damage here? We've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 damage on board right there. So even if they had a lightning bolt, they're not going to stop us from winning the game here, which is pretty sweet. And on to the next one. Ooh, this one's going to be a difficult matchup, I would say. We are on the play, though, and we got some stuff. Xanathar, I think, is really huge to have in our hand. If we can get that down early, which we should be able to, short of our opponent having, I think, like, an Annul or a Spell Pierce on turn 1. I think those are, like, the only cards I can think of. We should be good. Do I want to keep the Hagra Mauling? It's almost certainly going to cost 4 mana at some point. But it is currently our only way to deal with Niv-Mizzet Payroon. I think I'll actually play Watery Grave tapped, because I'll otherwise have to most likely shock myself to play Search for Azcanta next turn, which is very important to me. So Search for Azcanta goes down. So our opponent's playing Niv-Mizzet Payroon. It's an Izzet commander that's hard to cast, but not when your deck is entirely Izzet. This spell cannot be countered, which is an axis they can attack me on, for sure. I'm going to make my land drop, so I'm going to keep that. Whenever you draw a card, it deals 1 damage to any target, and whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery spell, they also draw a card. My entire deck is instant and sorcery spells, so that's really not good for me. But we have Search for Azcanta, and that's kind of huge for us as well. So it's not as though we are destined to lose this one. It's certainly just not going to be an easy matchup, at least. Yeah, just make my land drops here. And I guess we just pass the turn. We have this Price of Fame that might cost us 4, it might cost us 2. And our opponent has to ask themselves whether or not they want to use this Field of Ruin to cast Niv-Mizzet at a reasonable time. They're actually on all non-basics right now, so this might be the first time that Hagra Mauling has ever cost 3. I'm okay with a 2-2 for now, I think. I'm at 25. Let's use our life total as a little bit of a resource and deal with it later when we know the coast is clear. Like, maybe work on getting them to counter on their own turn rather than mine so I get to resolve something. So, let's go with the Behold the Multiverse. Got to fill the graveyard eventually for Search for Azcanta. That's a counter spell I could use. Yeah, I think I'll take that. I'll bottom the land. Exclude. Could be useful. Honestly, I might just Divination. Draw 2. Oh, it's not actually Divination, it's draw and discard. Maybe I won't then. It'd get me towards Search for Azcanta quicker, but that works for me. So I'm going to play my Hagra Mauling as a land. I'm going to play Walk the Plank and just attack this 2-2. See if they want to fight over it. Their deck will be burn spells, bounce spells, and counter spells, so I do half expect that they have an excess amount of counters there to fight over that if they wanted to, so they could keep the pressure up. But yeah, I don't know if I finished my train of thought. Field of Ruin can hit a Castle Vantress, which is really nice, and also get them their blue or red that they're missing for Niv-Mizzet. But I also have this Search for Azcanta looming, which will eventually become an Azcanta the Sunken Ruin. This will close out the game if I get to that point. So they're kind of in a weird spot for that. I'm just going to pass. Extinction event. Graveyard that. Brainstorm. So I do need to make my land drop. And I can discard with Search for Xanathar the top card. But I could also hold up and Sublime Epiphany here, and I kind of feel like that's worth something. So I think I'm going to pass. I mean, I do have plenty of counter magic here as well. So they might be thinking of cracking Mind Stone. It's not going to help them cast Niv Mizzet. Maybe they're just looking for land drops. It would make sense for sure. So we're only ahead by like 1 point on our mana right now. And, well, let's go with this Castle Vantress. Can set up the top card to discard to... Yeah, I mean, that's fine. Let's do that. So, now they might just go with the Field of Ruin. Shuffles the top card of my library. Totally fine, though I wonder if I could have had an island open here. I don't think I could have. Although, I guess I can island here. That allows me to then brainstorm. Do I want to brainstorm? Because I want to hold up and Sublime Epiphany next turn, and I want to make my land drop, so I guess I'll brainstorm now. Oof. That's not great. It's not bad, but it's not great. Let's get rid of Villainous Lair. Ashok's a good way to deal with Niv Mizzet without playing an instant or sorcery, which is something they could do next turn. Let's get rid of Disdainful Stroke, I guess, and then we will discard the Disdainful Stroke. So graveyard that. And yeah, I think we're just passing here. So they play Niv Mizzet, I play Graven Law, getting an insane hand. Then I'll play Ashiok to bounce the Niv Mizzet, making them discard. I think that's kind of maybe the line I want to go with. I think they want to try and do it with counter backup. So, yeah, I mean, let's take a counter out of the hand. We almost certainly have one. So this is a Scry 3, draw 3. Eat a counter spell, flip a Search for Xanathar. You don't typically want to counter card draw, but this is an excessive amount of card draw. Or card advantage and card selection. Yeah, can't afford to do that. So, counter spell down the drain, and that's a land. So I'll library that. I'll flip my Xanathar, because they've gotten rid of their Field of Ruin now. They'll have to have a Ghost Quarter in there, and a Niv Mizzet deck doesn't seem like the kind that would have that kind of thing on tap. And yep, I'm ready to pass. Because if they want to pass, I will just activate my Xanathar. And I'll do that forever. There's a Saheeli. That is annoying. It is annoying enough, I think, to keep off the table, because I can still go for my Xanathar. Expressive Iteration, don't care. Got counter magic open here, or 2 mana counter magic. We've already seen counter spell, so most of the 2 mana counters, I think, are completely conditional. Something to keep in mind for resolving a spell here, I think. So, as Xanathar activate, we will get another way to attack. Niv Mizzet is okay, but I like the counter with card selection option as well. And that's a negate. So let's think about this. I want to resolve a big spell here, because I think I can. I want to resolve one that I think I can get under counter spells that are conditional. So, realistically, I think the best thing they could probably do is a counter unless we pay 3. So I should actually go for Ashiok instead. Tap the Mind Stone in case they have Bounce Magic, which could take me off mana. And yeah, I have a threat that I can back up with counter magic that survives, I think, most burn that they could use. And if they play Niv Mizzet, I'll just bounce it with counter backup to make sure I don't get burnt out. Like, they could have double burn spells here, like Lightning Bolt's legal, for example. They could have the Dragon's Fire one and a Dragon in hand that, realistically, I guess, could hit Ashiok. Things like that, for sure, are available to us. But yeah, now I'd say we are pretty far ahead. It could easily turn against us, though, at any point. Like, that's kind of annoying. They know I can pay the 3, which is maybe why they took time to figure that out. I mean, I'm going to fight over this, because I think it's worth it. And I'm not sure their follow-up can be scarier. So, 4 mana. Crackling Drake. That is not scarier. So. Where do we want to go here? Sublime Epiphany could do a lot of work. It could also get blown out. I would really like to, I think, get rid of the Crackling Drake. Leaves me in an awkward spot where Ashiok is my only way to deal with Niv Mizzet, but I also get the ability to do this and set up the top card of my library. I think Hive of the Eye Tyrant is nice, but not necessary. So I'm going to put Heartless Act on top, so that's an answer to Niv Mizzet as a worst case in case Ashiok dies. And we still have an Azcanta activation. Just got rid of a Chandra, that's nice. I think a Goldspan as well. We have the Azcanta activation on the off chance that our opponent decides doing nothing is an option. Yeah, Goldspan as well. So here's Niv Mizzet. Not much I can do about that in particular. I've got to let them have a turn with it. If they had, like, Curiosity, I think the card is called, that might be a bit spooky. Because that says whenever you deal damage with a creature, a thing happens. Alright, so this is dealing 4, 5. So if I counter this, I believe Ashiok can live. But they are going to draw an extra card here. So they get 2 pings instead of 5. And again, I want to try and keep my Ashiok alive if it's possible. Because I can use it to now minus the Niv Mizzet, which still has a downside. I could also go for the Heartless Act as well, but they draw a card guaranteed. So that's kind of awkward. Maybe that's actually the correct play. Like, they've got a negate. I Heartless Act, they draw, they negate, they draw. That's 2 pings. I Sublime Epiphany, get rid of one of the pings. But then they get a ping. I don't know, maybe that's okay. And this means that I can potentially tick up instead of tick down. Which I'm always going to probably end up having to tick up because they're always going to point it at Ashiok here. So let's just tick it up now while I can. Let's try and deal with Niv Mizzet here. Certainly awkward. No denying that. We knew that when the game was going to start that we'd have some of these awkward interactions. So yeah, they went after Ashiok. But I don't have to worry, because I ticked up first, I don't have to worry about missing out a point of loyalty because it was sat on the stack. And yeah, our opponent's attacking it kind of the way I thought it would occur. Which is just trying to get as much Niv Mizzet value as they can before it dies. And now we get to exile some stuff. Not relevant, to be honest. Oh, that is actually extremely relevant. That's their infinite combo out of their deck now. Alright, we have no concerns whatsoever about Niv Mizzet just winning out of nowhere. That's really nice. Niv Mizzet just does, in general, win out of nowhere anyway. Because if you get to untap with it, look at all this mana, and look at all these cards you can cast, for example. That's certainly a way that they can just win. But this is a combo that would definitely just win on the spot. With really no effort required whatsoever. Like, I would not be able to fight it. Lay claim. Well. Counter. Create a copy, draw. It's what I'm going to have to do. Create a copy, draw. If they fight over this, I will kill the Ashiok. Yep. Kill the Ashiok with my own creatures. Most likely, anyway. Maybe I go for a Xanathar. That's huge, though. That's not very huge. Yeah, we might actually just lose now. So I don't think Xanathar's really the play. You have any other counter spells for it, and I don't have the counter backup for it either. I don't really have enchantment removal. I guess I could dig for creature removal, but again, if they counter the creature removal, that's annoying. Okay. Let's at least make the attempt, I suppose. I doubt this is really going to work in my favor, but it's the best I can do, really. So send it, exile 6 of their cards, kill my own Ashiok. Lands. Those were some pretty good cards as well, actually. Not bad. Interesting to see them just let it die. I'm not countering Niv Mizzet with these cards, so I'm going to play my Lantern. We'd already seen Jari's Disruption as well, I think, yeah. So I don't have to concern myself with that. Now we're in kind of the sketchy spot. This is where I need an answer to Niv Mizzet. And I probably need it now. Return a creature to its hand. I guess it's my line, but draws them a card. They literally benefit off of every single card that I play. It's real annoying. Now while Niv Mizzet's around, they can draw cards and probably like wipe my board. Yeah, they're gonna do a lot of damage here. So they've got 3 more damage to distribute. This is going to be a long game, and I can pretty much guarantee we're not winning it. Sadly. But we'll do our best. Hit them for 4. Got rid of a counterspell and some lands, some more lands. Not great there. They're at 16. We can pay 3 life to Castle Lochthwain. So there's Niv Mizzet. I could also use my Exclude to counter and draw. It wouldn't stop it from resolving, but I would get to draw the card. Maybe that's the line, because it costs me less life. Fire Prophecy kills one of my creatures. Now we basically need to build up a board again that actually threatens our opponent. Because they can afford to play this Niv Mizzet forever. Yep, sure. Yeah, so much value. Alright, so there goes my last 2-3. They turn a land into probably a relevant spell. And I desperately need a good answer in the next couple of draws. I get the Lochthwain, I get the Xanathar. Alright. That kills Niv Mizzet. Midnight Clock's also not bad. So let's try kill Niv Mizzet. Let's see if that resolves. There's a pretty good chance that Xanathar resolves. And if it does, maybe we can fight them on that. So we go down to 16. You can see how the damage from Niv Mizzet is just racking up. Even when Niv Mizzet's not attacking, we are severely down on life total. Looks like they just kind of get their values worth here and do their best to draw. Have we seen Essence Scatter from our opponent? I guess they don't have it because... Well, I get to resolve my Xanathar. Do I get to resolve my Xanathar and play this? 4, 5, 6. Yes, I do. That's not bad. So Xanathar stops our opponent playing on our turn. That's going to be useful. I don't think the Bone Crusher Giant is worth holding up and exclude or Essence Scatter for. Arcane Signet's not relevant. What we're really looking for is our opponent's removal spells for Xanathar. That's our big concern. Midnight Clock, sure. Cold Steel Heart, sure. They've got lots of mana, they've established this. Probably setting up for a big Niv Mizzet turn, because they know every single time it resolves, they get to draw loads of cards. Beacon Bolt deals 16 damage, and it's also able to be cast again from the graveyard. I have no counter magic to stop it. I think I had to go for that, though. It was mana efficient, and if they didn't have the answer, I would practically just win the game. Fetid Pools. So this leaves me with 3 mana open. Yeah, as long as they've got that Beacon Bolt, I can't really play my Xanathar out as a reasonable answer. Probably want to look for, like, other Planeswalkers now, or just good counter magic if we can make that happen. As Cantor, Narset's pretty good. Narset's real good, actually. If that resolves, stop our opponent from drawing extra cards, shuts off their Niv Mizzet. We have to ask ourselves, do I down tick it now? Given that if I do, it makes it easy to kill. I think I leave it. If they're going to have burn spells, the most likely ones are 3 damage burn spells, so I put it right in that range. Draw 1 card with Blue Sun Zenith, yep. This way, now when Niv Mizzet comes down, it doesn't get any of its draw triggers, and it only gets 1 on my turn. So they've drawn for the turn. Anything they've got now has to answer the Narset. Well, I guess as long as it doesn't have the word draw on it, you're okay, but I'm going to imagine that whenever you draw a card is relevant to them. Blink of an eye. There you go, that'll do it. No counter magic for us. Can they afford to Niv Mizzet into Blink? Glorybringer. That gets excluded. Already seen the Disruption. We haven't seen Censor. They might still be running that card. Or at least I don't think we've seen Censor. It doesn't look like it. Obnixilus is Cruelty. That's not a bad one. actually directly kills Niv Mizzet. Or a Bone Crusher. Right. So they don't have burn. Imarith is super useful. Let's play Imarith. They have an exclude. Let's see if we can fight over that. Nope. Okay. I could cycle for Counterspell. That's really about it, though. So I think I will take the card draw. I'll let this happen. I'm going to down-tick my Narset because they're going to be blinking it anyway. And then I'll kill the Bone Crusher. Liliana, that's an answer to Niv Mizzet without them drawing. And let's hit them now, I guess. What a game. What a game. I still don't have confidence we're winning it, but it's getting closer to a win. We're slowly edging out a little bit of value here and there. So they're going to go for the blink. Bouncing their Bone Crusher. Okay. Bone Crusher can only take Narset to 1, though. Ugin. Alright. I see you're not interested in fun anymore. The fun is over. Ugin the Spirit Dragon comes in to ruin the day. It will never not be tilt-inducing to see that card, whether or not it was a good game before, or it was a good game after the Ugin goes. It's just terrible. It's a card that shouldn't exist in this format. Oh, God. I won't go on the rant, though. As easy as it would be to rant about it. Teferi's Ageless Insight plus Faithless Looting, by the way. That's absurd. Now that the Narset's gone and they've just gained an insane amount of advantage. Dark Ritual. Right, I need an answer to Ugin. Let's start with Azcanta. He's not a dragon, unfortunately. What loyalty? You're on 9. So you can kill Mordenkainen. So, what you're saying is, these cards don't matter. Okay. I guess I'll take the intervention because it gains me life. I will Illumination. I've got plenty of 4-mana removal spells for a Planeswalker. Those are not said cards. You are 1 turn away from ulting and putting me to 7 in the process. Yeah, I think that's game. I've got 6 cards in my hand, so I take 7 from... Well, I'll take 6 if I put this into play tapped. I guess I could play Liliana, but it just doesn't really do anything. It just keeps our opponent from ulting their Ugin. Gets me no closer to winning. And I don't really want to play Seagate Restoration. I guess I will play out the Liliana. Let's see what happens. Liliana. Yeah, Tail's End. They did draw a lot of cards. I'm holding the Seagate Restoration because I can draw quite a fair few cards next turn, so probably find an answer to Ugin. But my sneaky suspicion is I'm going to need more than that. Because I'm at 5, and Niv Mizzet here will probably already have killed me. That's 2 damage. And there's the rest. And that's game. Alright, a half an hour game, but a good one. We did lose. I'd like to say I told you so. But you know what? It was nice. A lot of back and forth there. But opponents should remove Ugin so that we can have fun. But yeah. We've probably got time for one more. I do want more than one game in my YouTube videos. So yeah, let's do one more. Oh boy, this is going to be a joy to experience. We're up against Coma, Cosmos, Serpent, Simic Tempo, Simic Control probably. Does this hand work for me? Yeah, sort of. He's got ramp. Our opponent's going to be ramping as well. We kind of want to keep up with that. We got Counterspell, which we can't cast right now, but we are on the draw. Actually, we can cast it with Seagate Restoration, so I'm actually a filthy liar. Yeah, I guess we'll keep this. Try and work on maybe countering their ramp creatures or ramp spells. Things like that are going to be nice. I'm definitely going to get my double blue out there. I need that for next turn. And I don't really want to bolt myself unnecessarily. So hope they don't do anything here. Yeah, they got Woodland Mystic. Not the end of the world, I guess. So we can counterspell now. Elysian Caryatid. Yeah, I think I'll counterspell. I think anything that's threatening is going to be a creature at this point, so Exclude's going to get the job done there. And I don't think I have to worry about any 2-drops in particular. Memory Lapse is a card. We are going to pass with Exclude. Because we have 5-drops to contend with, and Elder GGs are definitely annoying. Interesting. Right, well, my end step, I think, was always going to be this cast down. You want to fight over it? Because I'm assuming that's why you decided you didn't want to play anything. Yeah, that must have been a top deck for them, maybe. That's certainly what it feels like. Let's go Chromatic Lantern. This is Destroy, unfortunately, so it's not particularly good against Coma. We have plenty of Exile-based removal, though. Just gonna pass again. Yeah, this is the Coma that I know. Time Warps. You can take your entire turn next turn to do that again. Tail's End. If we'd have drawn an untapped land, I would have certainly just jammed Xanathar in a heartbeat. As it turns out, though, not the case. Gotta remember, if we want to go for Price of Fame, we have to crack the Evolving Wilds first. Well, gonna crack it now. Well, nothing changed from last time, because we just put Time Warp on top, so I don't know what they're holding off on now. Well, I know that they've probably got a counterspell. Does that mean that we go for the Price of Fame? Because it actually helps us set up our top deck. So if they just let this go because they don't care about the Mystic, which is understandable, then that's totally fine. If they counter it, then Xanathar resolves, so not a great position for them either. This doesn't deal anything against Coma, and it keeps them actually away from Coma, which is pretty good. So I'm guessing they've got no ramp, they've got counter magic, they're looking for a land. I think my assessment of that will be definitely true if the only thing they do is play Hypnotic Sprite. Yep, sure. Only green mana, Xanathar. And let's see what they can do about it. They top deck to land. Took an extra turn. Alright. If they drew another land, they get to Coma here, right? So I would want to upkeep stop to kill it in response to them getting a Serpent. But they're not going to do that. I'm still going to hold my upkeep stop, though, because I'm a little bit concerned. You never know, right? So, we win the war. They're getting a Shark Typhoon, or we're getting a Shark Typhoon. The problem we have is we can't counter... Well, we can counter the creature, I guess, with a Tail's End. So I guess that's okay. I don't want to be hard casting Shark Typhoon, and you can't cycle from the top of their library. So, yeah, I think we can answer the Shark Typhoon in whatever form it comes in. Yeah, let's let them draw it. Let's see what they want to do with it. Brazen Borrower on the Petty Theft. So if I Supreme Willed, they wouldn't really be able to do anything meaningful. In fact, they wouldn't be able to counter it coming back down. So I think I'm okay with doing that. We also have the Exclude as well. And the Tail's End still available. So now they have to pay all their mana if they want this to resolve. Which I'm sure they have to really care about that. Otherwise they lose the creature side as well. Yeah, they're definitely digging for a counter, I think. But you could just pay for it, so... Yeah, there you go. Alright. Back to hand, so we don't have to pay the commander tax. I'm going to hit their Woodland Mystic over their Hypnotic Sprite. Because I want to keep them as far away from Coma as possible. Fairly confident we can find an answer to Coma. Our deck is kind of built around doing that, so... Although maybe that's a bit greedy. I don't know. Because if they draw a land here, then they're on Coma anyway. Well, no lands. Humble Naturalist. So I don't want them drawing a land at this point. This could be a Behold the Multiverse, though. If it is, I don't really get to dictate what they draw next turn. So it could be worth just playing the Naturalist. I could also just go with Maze Mind Tome, though. Gets me something to do when I have nothing to do. I want to make sure I tap the interactable mana first. They can't counter. They can't play anything on my turn. Yeah, I'm letting them draw the Naturalist. Hit them for 5. Yeah, I guess they could cycle. Do I care about the shark? I don't. So they're drawing an Uvenwald Hydra. That can be excluded. Certainly a creature I would want to exclude. So let's draw a card. Hagra Mauling's not exile. So we're going to scry and... Negate's a weird one, because I don't have to worry about it on my own turn, but on theirs I certainly could need to worry. The thing is, I could just set up the top of their library in such a way that I don't need this. That's one of the powers of Xanathar, is we get to be a bit more picky with our cards. They're drawing a land. There's Obstinate Solicit's Cruelty. This is a 6/6, though. Let's think. Hang on a second, guys. Yeah. Sorry, I just had to answer a message. Let's play the land. I'm feeling frisky. They're going to draw a thicket. Okay. This allows me to Cruelty or Tail's End, which I think are perfectly fine things. Blood on the Snow. I'll take that. I think there's a world where I might need that. Vraska's Contempt, perfect answer. It's the kind of thing we're looking for. So they hit me for 4, I hit them for 5. Their draws are typically worse than mine. Extra turn spell. Okay. I might just hit the Hypnotic Sprite. I can't counter the Coma. I can't kill the Coma with this. And I have an answer to Coma anyway. So I think I'll just avoid hemorrhaging as much life as I am. Can't win the race if I'm dying. Okay, looks like we're taking 4. Down to 10. And here's Coma. So, Coma is going to get exiled on my upkeep before they can make a Serpent to tap down anything that I own. I'm then going to set up my follow-up. Sign in Blood's not where I want to be. So, goodbye, Coma. What about Tails ending the Coma Chameleon? No. I think I'll let them have the Coma Chameleon. Alright. We have a land. They have a land. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 2, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I actually kind of want them just to draw anything that's not a land. Circuitous Route. Sure, that actually doesn't let them play lands, so... if I attack and they don't block, I have to Mauling the Serpent. If they block, I Mauling the Shark. Yeah, sure. Let's go. Alright. So Circuitous Route does put them back on Coma, but it stops them, doesn't let them cast Coma this turn anyway. So I'm going to Mauling the 3/3. It's better to not let them have Serpents when Coma is already on the field, because then they get those activated abilities. We're 2 turns away from smashing our opponent to death, but... Humble Naturalist. Right, so I kind of want to just Blood on the Snow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I could Blood on the Snow and get my own Xanathar back. Alright, so it's not really going to matter what I scry into. Masked Vandal. Hits my Chromatic Lantern and my Maze Mind Tome, so that's kind of annoying. So we're going to play that, I think. They just double block. I think I'd much rather them draw the Mass Vandal because it doesn't let them play Coma again. So destroy all creatures. Get back Xanathar. Let them have the Mass Vandal. I'll just Tail's End. Sorry, no. Well, I could Tail's End. I was going to say I could just draw with Maze Mind Tome. Maybe Tail's End is actually where I want to be. Just hitting my Chromatic Lantern. To be honest, my mana's just not bad. I don't need this Chromatic Lantern anymore. I think I would, personally, if I would then go for the Maze Mind Tome. Eat to Extinction's huge. I guess the one downside of Mass Vandal is it is a serpent that Coma can interact with. But they're close to needing to block with it anyway, and maybe they don't realize that that is a synergy for them. Ooh, Kogla. Boop. Fight you. I will play your island. You're drawing a negate. And I'm swinging for 5. Should have lethal here. I can Tail's End, they counter, then I eat to Extinction. Actually, they can't even they can't even negate my eat to Extinction, which I will do on my upkeep. So, eat your Coma. Fight with Kogla, the serpent you make, which I could also Tail's End the trigger of. Problem solved. Alright. That actually wasn't too bad. It was less counterspell heavy than I'm used to with Coma lists. Usually it's literally counter magic all the way up the curve, but yeah, here not so much. And it's really nice to have a lot of exile and trigger-based counters as well. We've got Disallow in the deck as well to deal with Coma. So it's just about managing the upkeep triggers on Coma, making sure that they don't have serpents already in play or anything like that to really kind of situate yourself. It's probably one of the few occasions I've played this deck where I didn't want my opponent to have a land on top. I just wanted them to have things that fetched lands and wasted time, because wasting time is exactly what I need in order to win the game as well. So yeah, really super useful there. And that's going to do it for today's video, I think. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed today's video. I'm sure it's a very long one, because I know what kind of content I'll be including in with this one today. So hopefully you've enjoyed it. And again, thank you very much for supporting the channel. It does mean a lot to me. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, take care and have a wonderful rest of your day.